Good morning, everyone. How are we doing this morning? What is going on? Give me a moment here to grab the chat and all the things. Cheers, everyone. Got the coffee here. Let's get the chat brought up. How's everybody doing? Right on. It's a nice Wednesday. There we go. We're getting that. Scoot that over. Right on. We bring up all the things. I almost need 2 monitors for this, but I don't have room for that sort of setup in here, so we just make it work. Alrighty, Sam's here. Sam says, don't forget your coffee. Don't worry, Sam, I got it. Good morning. Sam says, made myself a quick coffee. Nice. Robert, good morning, Robert. Robert says, howdy, people. Hope everyone staying safe and healthy and warm. We are. We're doing good. It's been interesting here. We had the snow last week, but then it kind of warmed up to the 40s and 50s and has been pretty decent. Today it's a little cooler in the 20s, upper 20s. Had some fog, some freezing fog, and this morning made for a kind of a foggy drive on the way over to the school this morning, but not bad at all. It looks like it's starting to clear off now, and it's turning out to be pretty decent. It's supposed to be a fairly nice day, a little cooler than yesterday, but yeah, it's good. Sam says, doing good, just a little bit chilly. Real field temperature, 5 degrees in the UK. 5 degrees is 40. About 40 Fahrenheit, roughly. That's not bad. It's not bad at all. Mike's here. Mike Johnson in the house. Good morning, Mike. How are you doing this fine Wednesday morning? How's everything up there in your neck of the woods? Taser 8 says 2.05 in Winchester, VA. I'm guessing, is that Virginia? But it's 2.05 C, so I'm not sure if I don't know. Sam says set live view. Oh, Sam, thank you. I don't want to miss stuff. Got it. Right on. Bam. Thank you for that. Did I miss anything important? Because I didn't have it on live chat? It doesn't look like I've missed anything, so that's good. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate that. I wish you could set that as default somehow. Oh no. Oh, now I lost the chat. Oh boy. Newbies, I'm telling you. Oh, let's see here. Patty's here. Patty. Hello, Jeff and chat. Been a while. How you doing? Right on, Patty. Good morning. Good afternoon to you. What is going on? How's everything been? Nice. Right on. Yeah, we're doing good. Things have been going pretty well. I hope everything's doing the same for you. Right on. Are you guys settling in for the winter weather over there? Mike says rain, lots of it. I can imagine. You probably get a lot of rain. A lot of rain over there. At least it's not snow, right? I mean, unless you like snow. Robin's here. Robin says, hi all. Just losing the light here in England. It's 4 p.m. Yeah, it's, that daylight savings item. I do not like it getting dark that early, but whatever. I can't change it. If I could, I would. But I can't, so I won't. Remember that? I haven't said that in like a long time. Robin, I hope everything's going well. Right on. Edge light, -4 in Ottawa, Canada. Oh, -4 Celsius, which still isn't terrible. -4, yeah, not terrible. Taser says 37 degrees. There you go. Yeah. Not bad either. Taylor says Winchester, Virginia. So it was Virginia. Okay, you just threw me off with the Celsius, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm trying to get better at that Celsius to Fahrenheit conversion. I don't know those numbers very much. So whenever someone talks about Celsius, I always look over there. I've got a thermometer that I always look at to try to get an idea of roughly what it is. I'm starting to get a little bit of an idea, but still nowhere near an expert. Paul's here. Paul says, hello, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great week. Right on, Paul. What's going on? We're doing good. How are you doing? Robert says, currently in Oklahoma, it's 49. Feels like 40. Expected high of 54. Nice. Not a bad day right there. Patty says, been crazy busy. Off to Poland next week, where I'm going. I've had a lot of snow, but this weekend I'm going to look at a Suzuki low ground pressure pickup for the farm. Ooh, nice. Low ground pressure pickup. So what exactly, low ground pressure pickup, what does that do? I'm not familiar with that term. Yeah, teach me. I like to learn stuff. But going to Poland, that sounds fun. In the snow. Yeah. I used to work with some folks from Poland. That was kind of fun, trying to learn a few Polish words and all that. But Sam asks, do you follow Rob Cosman from Canada? He's really good at detailed projects. I have seen some of his stuff. I think I'm subscribed to his channel. I'd have to double check. But yeah, I am familiar with him for sure. Blonde Brownies, what's up, cousin? Says, nice to join you for the lunch break with your cousin. Spend lunch break with your cousin Wednesday. Yes, right on. That's awesome. How's everything going? You guys, have you gotten some snow? I know it's been snowy over that way, but I don't know if you guys have gotten it yet. We had some last week. Probably, I don't know, 5 to 7 inches or so. That's a little bit of a range, but some places I measured 5, some places I measured 7, and some places it drifted to like a foot. So right on. I hope you guys are all doing well. Say hi to everyone for me, from all of us. Taser says, sorry, I had some sort of thing pop up. Celsius mnemonic, 10 is cold, 20 is not 30. Oh, 10 is cold, 20 is not, 30 is warm, 40 is hot. I like it. That's actually really good. 10 is cold. 10, what is 10 though? 10's 40. No. 10 is 50 degrees. That's not cold. Ish. 10 is 50 roughly. 20 is definitely not. 20 is 68 or so. But that's a good one though, that helped kind of get a reminder. It's really the 10 and below, I think. Yeah, 10 is 50-ish. Huh, I like that. I'm gonna try to remember that. That is helpful. Let's see. Patty says it's a Vitera converted to a pickup with a demountable body that can be used for fencing. Oh, okay. Has a small boom sprayer, fertilizer spreader, with wide ag tires, very small. Okay, now that sounds cool. Yeah, all right, I gotcha. Nice. Yeah, so like, is that a commercial unit or is it more of a homemade kind of thing? It sounds like it could be like a modified commercial unit, but I'm not sure. It sounds cool though. I know what you mean. Yep. It sounds handy. Kind of like a I don't know what you'd call it, like a overdeveloped side-by-side kind of thing with a sprayer. That'd be cool. I'd love to have a little sprayer. Something like that sounds great. Go out and spray the pastures, keep the weeds down. That'd be cool. Robert says, looks like I will be trying to help out a lady with her computer that her young grandson messed up. Oh no. Messed up her Quicken that she had left open and deleted out a big section of her October data. Yikes. Yikes. Have fun with that. Patty says a light footprint. I bet, especially if it's got big ag tires. Ghost UB3KV says, good evening. What is going on? Good evening. I hope you're doing good. So I didn't ask, what is everybody working on? What's on your workbench? What kind of projects do you have in the work? In the work? In the works. We're going to get to what I'm working on right now. I talked about it barely last week, but I was trying to keep secrets. So now I'm not too worried about it at the moment. So we'll get to that here shortly. You can see it in the background. Taser says, this is my first time on the live stream. I have a question about your fret press. Any modifications you made to it? I have a stock Harbor Freight arbor press. Awesome. Yes, welcome to the live stream. We do these every Wednesday, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. You know, figure that out for your own time zone. But yeah, and thank you for asking the question. And before I jump into it, again, I want to throw out there that this is always a live or always an open conversation, just like that. You've got a question, throw it out there. It doesn't matter really kind of where we're at in the conversation, throw it out. There's not a set topic. Don't be afraid to just ask a question. That's why we're here. That's why we do this. So my particular fret press, man, now I wish I had it here. Modifications that I've done to it. You know what? I almost feel like I should grab that so that I can show you. Let me go grab it. This is going to take just a few seconds. Don't go anywhere. You can stare at things in the background. Here, there's my grandpa's old brace. Here, you can look at that while I go grab my fret press. Hang on. Don't go anywhere. Don't tune out. Talk amongst yourselves. Haha. Do you get the reference? Come here, fret press. Want to knock something over? Maybe? Okay. I'm coming back. Don't leave. As long as I don't fall over something. I'm on my way. I'm right here. Don't worry. It's all dusty. All right. You can't even see. All right. Hang on here. I lost where we were. Okay, so the Harbor Freight arbor press for Taser. Okay. So mine is basically the same, right? Cheap arbor press. The only modifications that I have done to it are, of course, I've added this spring with a collar here. This is just a standard round shaft collar that I found to fit over this square arbor. The hardest part for this entire thing I have found is finding a spring that will work. It seems like a lot of people have searched around for one, myself included, to find a spring that is the right size. This is just a regular sort of spring. There's nothing special about it. But I can't really tell you exactly what spring it is because this is something I pulled out of a scrap bin years ago. And this came off some sort of industrial piece of machinery. I have no idea the size, the strength. I mean, the size I could measure, but as far as like the strength, that's been the hardest part for me to kind of duplicate. This one in particular is about 2.5 inches tall. And it's about 1.5 inches-ish across. I don't know. That's the only thing, like I said, I don't have a lot of information on because I don't even know what it came off of. I really don't. But I've got that on there, and that makes it so that it springs back up. I've seen, on some of the ones that you can get from like Stu Mac and stuff, they've got some sort of a rotary sort of return mechanism here, and I've looked around for those. I've found some stuff that might work, but it would take some additional figuring, so I'm not 100% sure on that. Other than this, I did take this square arbor out of there, and I drilled a hole right in the center, basically the bottom side right here of this square. I drilled a hole right in the center, which allowed me to insert my fret pressing caul, and then I drilled and tapped a hole on the side for a set screw so that I can put the fret press up in there, tighten that set screw, and then that holds this in place. But you've got to drill it in the right spot to where there's a groove in this fret caul, and you want that set screw to land in that groove. And then you don't just crank it down either, because I want this to still be able to turn, right? That way you can line it up exactly with your fret. The set screw is not locked down solid to the shaft. It's just in there enough to hold this in place, if that makes sense. And then down here, I really need to redo this because I'm not 100% happy with it, but it works for now. You know, one of those deals. I just built a little frame out of some plywood to just give me some more surface area to kind of support things. I want to make it a little bit bigger so that I have a little bit more room on either end. That's something I would change. I would probably make it a few more inches at least on either side. But really, that it's just so I have something there, and I'm not setting the guitar neck right on this cast iron or the steel or whatever it is. So, but really, that's about it. I've got it mounted to a board, as I like to mount things to a board, because that allows me to clamp it down a little bit easier to a table. You could just clamp it here, but I like a little bit more of a footprint just to hold everything in place. So that's about it. I mean, really, it's fairly simple. The hardest part, like I said, is finding that right spring. Okay, I'm catching up on the comments here. Don't worry. If you put a comment, I'm coming back. So Taser, I hope that at least answers your question. Feel free to keep asking if you still have questions on it. Paul says to Robert, so many people don't do backups, bites them in the butt too many times. Yes, I'm working on setting up a lot of that stuff right now, Paul. I may have questions. Let's see. Patty says it's a company that does a conversion instead of a side-by-side. It's instead of a side-by-side. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Something. So they buy the vehicle, they convert it to this cool machine, which sounds actually really handy. Nice, yeah. That sounds awesome. I want to see pictures of it. Robert says her grandson sounds like he also messed up some of her text settings on the computer as well. Oh, man. Mike says 56 degrees in the I'm going to say that wrong probably. I'm sure. Peugeot? I don't know. I'm sorry about that. Pineapple Express brings in the warm air and rain. Mountain passes here can have snow depending on the temps. Our mountain passes, yeah, this time of year, yeah, can get kind of wild. Ghost says I'm doing fantastic. Just finished my version of the Sandberg 48 bass. Nice. Right on. That's awesome. So cool. Yeah, I'd love to see pictures of it. 48 bass. I'm not 100% familiar with that exact model, but yeah, it sounds cool. I got to get to working on that new model too. We'll get to that. We'll get it. Paul says, workbench is closed till after surgery. Might do a few pens because they don't weigh anything. Aha, yes. Right on, Paul. When is that? Is that coming up? Edgelight, fixed a miter saw, an old table saw, and finishing up a CBG that I started in the summer. Yes, nice. Yeah, wrap up those projects. Now's the time of year to dig those projects out that have been kind of on the back burner and get them wrapped up. Mike says working on Christmas lights, gutter clips for a bulldog leaf guard. Nice. Yeah, we've got all ours up. Taser says just finished my first 4-string CBG. Done a lot of 3-strings. Made a couple of picture frames for some old posters recently. Yeah, nice. Those sound awesome. All kinds of projects like that I have done as well. Framed some cool old music posters and that sort of thing. Maybe not old, but just ones that I like. That's awesome. Yep. Robert says, if I'm not mistaken, if she just closes Quicken without saving, it should not accept the changes that were made. Or am I wrong? I'm not familiar with Quicken. Honestly, Robert, I am not an expert on that. I don't even think I've ever used it. So I don't know. Paul's the expert on that. Paul says it should ask her if she wants to save. I always set up auto backup on apps like Quicken, Excel, etc. that can contain a lot of important data. Yeah, the automatic stuff has saved me a few times. Sam says, what do you make of that video circulating on YouTube of the circular saw blade with grit paper glued on one side for apparently simultaneously cutting and sanding? I don't think I've seen that one, Sam. I have seen sanding discs that you can put in place of the saw blade. I've seen that. I'm not so certain that I would ever do that myself, but if this has a saw blade and sandpaper, there is a 0% chance that I would use that. It sounds terrible. Edgelight says, how many tons is the Arbor Press? I think this is a half ton. It's a number 0. I don't know if that means anything. It doesn't say specifically, 1 ton, 2 ton, any of that. I think if I look up a number 0 Arbor Press, I think it's a half ton. I have been wanting to redo this, and actually that might make a cool project because I do get so many questions about this. I would like at least a 1 ton. Not because I need all that extra weight. This one puts in the frets just fine. But the 1 ton is a little bit bigger, and that would be one of the downsides of this one is it could use a little more clearance here. I just wish it would go up a little bit higher, maybe another inch or at least a ½ inch even. Sometimes I have to, get a little bit creative. But maybe I'll do that one of these days. Rebuild like a completely new one. I'll find all of the parts as best I can, and then I can actually provide that info for all of you that are interested. Hit that thumbs up button if you'd like to see a video like that, where I build a completely new one, revamping this, a couple changes that I'd like to make. I've thought about that for quite some time now. Taser says, thanks for the reply. You are absolutely welcome. That's what we do. That's why we're here. If you got questions, I want to try to help answer them as best I can. Patty says, yeah, I'll tag you on the gram when I get some pictures of it. Yeah, do it. I want to see it. It sounds awesome. Ghost says it's modeled after this particular American-made motorcycle motor. It's a modern version of the Thunderbird. Oh, okay. I gotcha. It sounds cool. Paul says, for future reference, I'm afraid I'm going to, the sound area is the Seattle area. Yeah, I got you. I mean, I know roughly the area that Mike's in, but I just don't like to mispronounce people's cities or areas or, stuff like that. Paul says surgery on the 18th. Right on, Paul. It's going to go just fine. So next week. Robert says, just called the lady asking for help. Her version of Quicken is cloud-based and auto-saves. She is going to try contacting Quicken and ask if they can send her a clean backup before the changes. If it's cloud-based, couldn't you just download? Again, I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud with you here. Edgelight says, -3. Little overkill for frets. Nice. 3. You're gonna press that fret all the way through. It's fine. You got more room. I've looked at those. I've looked at the bigger ones. And having that extra space would be super cool. Sometimes, like I said, it gets a little tight, and a little more clearance would be nice. So, yeah. I think maybe I will look at rebuilding this. Maybe once we get into the new year. Mountain Man says hi from Utah. What's going on? Good morning. How are we doing? Is it snowy up there? Nice. Paul says, Robert, sweet. Lots of our clients have switched to that also. Cloud backups are nice as long as they have proper security set up to protect the data. Yeah, that makes sense. Sam says, I thought so, Jeff. I think it's someone trying to get people to copy his dangerous antics. Yes, I will not copy the dangerous antics. Not that I'm against potentially dangerous antics from time to time. But when it involves my extremities, no, I'm not doing it. Sam says, liking the stream helps Jeff's channel grow and is totally free. It does. It does. So does hitting that subscribe, the like, all of that sort of thing. Yeah, I appreciate all of you that support the channel. You guys are awesome. Of course, you know, as cheesy as it sounds, if it wasn't for all of you, I wouldn't be here. I'd be doing something else. So thank you so much. Robert says, I would not risk getting the grit from the sandpaper in my table saw by sticking sandpaper to the blade. Yeah, I'm not sure the sandpaper would stay attached at the speeds the blades turn. That's my thought. That's my thought. Taser asks, what's your preferred finish for CBG necks? Aha, I like it. I'm going to elaborate that a little bit on not just CBG necks. I think my favorite guitar neck finish, I have two right now. There's two that I absolutely love the way they feel. One of them I've used for quite a few years. One of them I've only used for a year, 2 years, year or two. But I love both of them. And I'm not sponsored by either one of these, but these right now are my two favorites. The first one is the guitar finishing oil from Crimson Guitars. I love the way that goes on. Some people have compared it to True Oil. I would say it's maybe similar-ish, but it's not quite the same as True Oil. I think it's more of an oil than True Oil is, if that makes any sense. But it is one of my favorites. A couple of coats, I can still feel the wood. It'll get a nice gloss on there. I really like that. So the guitar finishing oil from Crimson Guitars, that has been my favorite for quite a few years. And another one that I really like is Osmo oil. Is it the thin one? Which one is that? Osmo Top Oil. The Osmo Top Oil. It also very similar to the Crimson stuff, but the Osmo is a hard wax kind of oil wax. But it feels really nice too. I like both of those. Those are my personal favorites. Again, not sponsored. I don't get anything by mentioning any of these particular products. But those, some of my personal guitars that I have built for myself are finished with those materials, and I love them. I just love the feel. I'm not a fan of the high film, of a big thick layer on the neck. Even on my factory-made guitars that I have taken steel wool or a Scotch-Brite and scuffed the neck, scuffed all that gloss off of there, because it's not my personal preference. If you like that sort of thing, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not knocking it. It's just not what I like. I like a good oil finish with a little bit of protection, but not a lot. So those are my two go-tos right now. I've used lots of other things. Yeah, those are my personal preferences. Ghost says it's pretty nice. Can't afford to drop 2,000 euros to a base, so with trial and error, make your own for 200. Yes, that's it. You said it beautifully. If you want these really fancy custom guitars, or I say custom, but you know, some of these guitars, there's nothing wrong with them, right? But they're stupid expensive, and just build your own. Yeah, even if you know, a lot of people go with a kit route, and I don't have a problem with that either. Part of how I got into building guitars is the fact that I'm a lefty, right? And the manufacturers don't make all of the models in a lefty. Or if they do, it's like a special edition and they charge you more for it. It doesn't cost more to make it. But yet, just because me and others are lefties, now we have to pay more for some of the brands. I'm pretty thankful for some of the brands as well that do offer their models in both lefty and righty, but I got frustrated with the fact that if I wanted a left-handed guitar, I had only a couple of models to choose from, and it's going to probably be black. And that's just annoying. And if you're a guitar manufacturer, vendor, that only pretty much offers lefty guitars in black, come on. I know they have a few more than that, but really, or Ibanez is notorious for that, making just their lefties are black. It's annoying, and that's what got me started, making my own. Patty says, I've used Osmo to good effect. Yes, Osmo is pretty good stuff. I like it. I've used this is the one that I use on the neck is top oil. I'm looking at it because I can barely see it over there. I'm making sure I'm not telling you something wrong. It is Osmo top oil. Yeah, I've used some of the other ones too, but I can't remember the name of it. But top oil is the one that I like on the neck. A taser said, I started with tongue oil, but it took so long to get enough layers. Been using True Oil recently. I follow Crimson Guitars. Will definitely check out their finishes. Yeah, it's just their regular guitar finishing oil is what I've used, and it works really well. I like the fact that I wipe it on with a paper towel. I mean, I do that with even Osmo too, but you have to kind of polish it a little bit. But yeah, I like those simple finishes. For one reason, they're super simple. You don't have to get a big fancy spray booth or anything like that, which of course I don't have. But it's just easy to apply. You can do it. I mean, you can literally do it at your kitchen. I mean, super simple. And tongue oil, the thing I don't like about tongue oil is that it takes so long to cure, like you found, and build up enough layers, so long to dry, and the smell is absolutely, to me, I cannot stand the smell of especially pure tongue oil. I don't know what it is. It smells like wet peanuts or something. Paul says, be back. Customer printer issue. Fair enough, Paul. We'll be here. Sam says, I got slapped with the unskippable ads that cause stream lagging. So I reopened the stream to be slapped with 2 more unskippable ads. Yeah. I need some coffee after that. Robert says, if you tried the Odie's oil, for the amount of oil needed to apply is very minimum. It leaves a silky semi-gloss finish, was originally designed as a floor finish for basketball gym floors. I have not tried the Odie's oil, but I have seen it, and it appears as though it's fairly similar to the Osmo. It's an oil wax kind of finish. I could be wrong on that, but that's my understanding, and I think that's what it is. But I have not personally tried that one. Ghost says, my friend used to play right-handed guitars left-handed. And yes, you can't play left-handed because it felt wrong in the hand. See, that's the thing. You nailed it right there. Right-handed guitars, left-handed. Okay, so I've had many people ask me over the years, like I've been a guitar player for, I don't know, coming up on 30 plus years now. Wow. But anyway, I've had people say when I'm talking about being a lefty or wanting a specific model, they're like, man, you should have just learned how to play right-handed. Then you would have had access to all of the other guitars. They just say it like it's nothing, right? So a lot of times my reply is, okay, thinking about it like that, right? Just do an air guitar, simulated kind of air guitar kind of thing, right? So they do an air guitar, but most of the time they're righties. And I'm like, okay. So I'm paying attention. I'm like, oh, yep, you did the air guitar right-handed. I'm like, now do it the opposite way. And then they try to do air guitar the other way, and they're like, oh, that feels too weird. And I'm like, that's like asking me to learn right-handed. It's what you just said. They're like, oh, yeah, I guess I didn't think about that. Yeah, hello. You're not going to do it if it feels weird? Paul says, those are known as lefty tariffs. Yes, it's a secret. Luthier, make a little extra tax. It is, and it's ridiculous. Robert says, Odie's is almost like a paste wax. Yeah, I think it's more wax than oil, but I think the idea is the same. I think. Again, I could be wrong. Patty says, sorry, YouTube keeps reconfiguring the text. I swear I spelled it correctly. No, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you're saying. It's all good. No apologies necessary. Taser says, tongue oil soaked rags will apparently spontaneously combust. Yeah, that's what they say. Say that about boiled linseed oil, all of that. I've never seen anything happen, but I don't take any chances. And anytime I have a rag like that, I always make sure it's laid out nice and open so nothing can Spontaneously combust. Ghost says, I just use matte lacquer and 6 to 800 grit sandpaper. Yeah, lacquer's perfectly fine too. I've got several that I've done in lacquer as well. Yeah, it's just personal preference, right? I've just found that over the years that I've really enjoy more of the oil finish necks. But yeah, lacquer's fine. Any of that stuff's fine. Patty says Jeff's been playing guitar since David Gilmour was was a lad. Well, I mean, he's got some years on me. I've got to say that. um, Not quite that long, but yeah, I know what you're saying. I'll take a little razzing. Yep. Ghost says, funny thing, I'm left-handed. I do everything left-handed, but I play bass right-handed. Interesting. Nothing wrong with that. Whatever works. Whatever works. So I just realized I have not. We're like already 40 minutes into this, which is absolutely fine, and I haven't showed you what I'm working on yet. So last week, I'm going to set this down in some other spot. Last week, I mentioned I was making a gift for a family member who may or may not have been on the live. She was not on the live, but she has requested, my daughter, that is, a bridal rack for her future future barn, I guess. And so I've got all of these 3D printed bridal hooks. Really just mounted them to a board for now. Kind of a nice live edge board. Had to do a lot of printing to get these done because I'm making 2 of these, and each one of these racks prints in about 3 hours, and I got 14 of them. So yeah, a couple of live edge pieces of Siberian elm. I was going to cut them down into boards, was my plan originally, but when I laid these out on the table, I really liked the way they looked with the live edge. They've got kind of a little bit of an arc to it, and I've got 2, and so I'm working on this. I'm getting that finished up. It's a Christmas present, so don't tell her. She probably knows already because she did ask me for it. But anyway, yeah, I got another one here. These are red, these are blue. We can change them out. Like if she wants a different color later on, we'll just print more. Yeah, should be pretty cool. It's kind of not a super in-depth project, but it's fun. I always enjoy, building things for family members. It's always fun, even, it doesn't really matter the project, especially when it's something that someone has asked for. It's just something I enjoy doing. And yeah, she didn't ask me to build her a whole lot of stuff. So as soon as she did, I'm like, let's do it. So working on these. That's going to be a video. Video will be out this weekend. I don't think she's going to see it before Christmas, but that's what's coming out. So it's kind of a fun little project. Patty says, only joking. No, it's fine. I'll take it. I like it. Taser says, I thought you said bridal rack and was confused. I mean, I did say bridal, but it's horse bridles and halters and things. Yeah, I did say bridal rack. Robert says, my brother was right-handed, but anytime he went shooting a rifle, he shot it left-handed. So what I notice with that is I'm left-handed, but I'm right-eye dominant. So I guess I'm right-handed as well in that aspect, but everything else is left-handed. But yeah, but it all has to do with my right eye. Otherwise, you're kind of looking across like with the opposite eye, and it's very awkward. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Robert says bridal rack looks nice. Yeah, thank you, Robert. I like it. I love this Siberian elm. I have, at first it was just material that I had on hand to use, but I have come to really like this wood. I like that kind of light brown color. It just has a super cool color. I really like it. This is finished with some satin, just lacquer. I did use a lacquer, a film building finish on these, because I don't know where these are going to live, later on in life, but some sort of a barn shed type atmosphere. Um, and I wanted that protection, something on there. I didn't want to just put an oil, so I wanted a film building finish. So that's what we did. A couple coats of clear lacquer, and yeah, I think she's gonna like them, and it should work well for her later on. So Taser says my son writes left-handed but throws a ball right. Yeah, some people, I know people that can write and all that stuff equally well with both. I cannot. I write, do pretty much everything with my left hand. The one thing I don't do is scissors, right? And I kind of I blame grade school for that, because we didn't have left-handed scissors that I remember. And yeah, it's like it's what you had to do. You had to make it work. We had to adapt. But so yeah, so I've been working on these for the last couple of days, trying to keep the 3D printer running. Running these through the drum sander, getting everything smoothed out, the finish applied. And I've also been working on off camera. I think I mentioned it. Did I mention it last week? We're doing some home network improvements, I guess. I think so, because I think I remember talking with Paul. Maybe it was a few weeks ago. But you guys remember a while back, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, I don't know. Earlier this year, I assembled that backup server, that TrueNAS server, to back up all of my video files and all of that sort of stuff. Paul mentioned backups earlier. I don't know if Paul's back, but I got that's been up and running just fine. And I've been tinkering on that here and there, getting a media server running and all that stuff. And I mentioned that in the video. That's what I intended. I've been working on that too, setting up some other things recently about just getting things more, making sure I have backups running. Robert, you'd mentioned backups, and Paul, the importance of backups. That's one thing that I've been going through, that making sure that backups are running well, and working properly, all that sort of stuff. And just doing some reconfiguring of a few of those services and things. But so far it's been working really good. My intent with that when I did the video was I wanted to come back in 6-8 months, whatever, and do a follow-up video about the uses that I found for that, in the workshop. And really, I haven't found any yet, other than the peace of mind I get from knowing that I have backups of everything. But yeah, just kind of been working on that. I just got in a power supply, uninterruptible power supply, that I need to shut everything down when we're done with this live to get everything plugged into that and then fire it all back up. But yeah, between working on this and working on some of that home network stuff, and I'm not like a home network guy. I thankfully, I have a family member who's extremely knowledgeable in some of that and has been a huge help with some of that stuff. I'm not afraid to get in there and try stuff and make changes, but I found myself in trouble, locked out of things in the blink of an eye. So I gotta be careful. I know my limit. Taser asks, where do you get your wood? I'm trying to find some wood, actually 1 inch thick, for canjos, but have struggled to find any. This is a hard one to answer, because unless you live in the area that I live in, where I get the material from is not going to be where most of you get your material from. I have ordered some stuff online before, but only like back and side sets from guitar suppliers. For everything else, I buy locally. Now, it may not be local material, but I buy from local stores, or at least stores in the area. Until maybe 2 years ago, I had a local shop up the road from me, about 15 minutes. I used to go there for pretty much everything. They have since moved on. Darn it. So I don't have that source anymore. Now, when I need something, I head into, I get it from a place in Colorado Springs, which is where I live nearby. And I buy it from a wood place there, a hardwood dealer there, a big dealer. Uh, and they have pretty reasonable prices and all that. But that's where I get it from. I can't tell you where to get your material from. Yes, you can, if you have a woodcraft or a rockler around nearby you, I don't know. That's a source. I try not to buy from them. I feel like it's more expensive, but there's a convenience, right? To be able to just run over there and grab it. I would search high and low to try to find maybe you got a little sawmill around or some sort of a lumber dealer. Maybe even try to contact some local cabinet shops and that sort of thing. And you can ask them, where they get material from. So the 1-inch thick stuff, that's what I buy. When I go to the hardwood shop, I buy 4/4, 1-inch thick, whatever it is. I've got some 4/4 maple right there, and I've got some 4/4 walnut right there. Yeah, that all came from the same shop. So it's kind of hard. I can't really tell you exactly, oh, you have to order from this guy or you have to go there, because everybody's location is different. And the hard part, honestly, is knowing what's in your area. So that would be my first suggestion. Just find out what's in your area. And if, like I said, if that means you got to call cabinet shops or, that furniture manufacturers or whatever, and just ask around. Some people may order it in from who knows where, but you might find a few different local places that you could visit. So I know that's not 100% answer to your question, but like I said, unless you live right here where I am, it's really hard to answer. So you kind of got to do a little bit of poking around and find out what's in your area. There's got to be somebody around. I'm sure there's something. Robert says, Tornelli Guitars just posted a new guitar build video yesterday, and the wood he used was an English elm. He constructed the body like an acoustic with bent sides and separate top and back. Oh, that sounds cool. I wonder if English elm looks anything like this elm. So it's called two things, from my understanding. Siberian elm is what I've known it as, but I also think that I think it's the same as Chinese elm as well. I think they're the same. Taser says, what kind of volume of wood do you tend to get at a time? Okay, that one I can answer. So usually when I make a trip to the store, it's about a half-hour drive. So I don't want to, it's not something I can just zip over to if I need an extra piece, right? So if I want to get a couple, 2 or 3 boards just to have material for guitar necks and such, I'll probably buy 4 or 5, 6 maybe. I usually will buy a little bit extra. I don't buy in huge volumes because I don't have anywhere to store it, really. I've got a couple walnut boards there. I've got a couple maple boards there. A few slabs of this stuff. And, some short pieces. But I don't have a big storage space. So I only buy a handful. I do a big project in the late summer where I have to make a whole bunch of black walnut plaques. That's when I'll buy 10, 20 boards, depending on how big the order is. 30 boards. Yeah, I didn't use 30 this year, but maybe last year would have been. That's when I'll buy a lot, but usually I'm just buying a few boards and the place doesn't care. Don't feel like, if you're going to a big lumber yard of some sort, don't feel like you have to buy small or, giant quantities. I could walk into this one and say, I need 1 board. And they would just say, okay, here's here's the bill, right? They don't care. At least, I've never gotten any sort of a sense that they cared, whether I'm buying 1 board or 1,000 boards, or board feet, I guess I should say, because that's what they sell it by. But they're not going to care. They're going to sell you whatever it is. And if they do care, then maybe you need to find a different place. But yeah, I've never run into any sort of Oh, you're only buying one board? You know, I've never gotten that. So don't be afraid to go in and ask. If there's an issue, then yeah, then they'll let you know. But I would say, you know, what volume do you need to get? Get whatever you can. Get what you want. If you only want a board, get a board. If you want, you know, 100 board feet, buy 100 board feet. Whatever fits your needs, you know. I don't buy a lot, like I said. Ghost says old tabletops or barn doors are way to go. They are. You can get some good stuff out of there. Whoops, didn't turn that off. Patty says that's great advice on the procurement of quality timber. Yeah, you just got to look around. Well, you have a mill, right? Don't you have a mill? Yeah, that's the thing. Like if you find somebody with a mill, that's another thing. You might want to touch base with that person and see if, you know, maybe they'll sell you some stuff. I don't know. There's just a lot of different ways. Just got to know what's around. And that's the hard part. For quite a while, like I said, I had one that was very local to me. And I didn't even know that there was some of these other places in town. Yes, it's a farther drive, but I get good prices, I feel, and the service is great. The staff's always super helpful. But yeah, you just got to know what's there. And I didn't know until this other place, my local shop had left, and I started looking around, and I found this other place, and I'm happy with it. Robert says sometimes you can find wood online from eBay. That's a good to use a lot. It's very reasonably priced. Yes, I have ordered on eBay some material, but like I mentioned earlier, it's only been back and sides that I have personally ordered. Robert says from the looks of his video, it was very close in color. The grain pattern may have been a little more pronounced. Interesting. Yeah, I might have to look at that. Harry Dude, what's up? Harry Dude says, just made it. Just got home from working on site. Hope you're all well. Harry Dude, what's going on? How did the on-site stuff go? Robert says, Harry Dude, welcome back. Yeah, glad you made it. Sam says, Jeff, I was chatting with, geez, AI. A full wooden hinge can be strengthened with resin, epoxy, wood glue, etc., and grease added to prevent friction and wear. I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. That'd be kind of cool. Harry Dude, says to Robert. Thank you, sir. Harry Dude, how's the weather going there? I know you're not a fan of the winter, so you don't have to worry about that, but is it fully warmed up for you? Sam says, Robert, YouTube allows you to type eBay. It keeps deleting my comments with it. Oh, interesting. Sam, I don't know. I got nothing. I got no way to explain that. Oh, boy. Oh, I meant to mention this earlier. I told you about it. So for this project that I'm working on right now, I have to put in I'm using brass screws, and these darn things, I don't know if I couldn't find them at the time or whenever I ordered these. These are a flathead screw, which I don't like. But I put a flathead bit in here, and using this brace has made it really nice for driving in flathead screws, which is kind of cool though too, because this, like I mentioned earlier, belonged to my grandpa, and I haven't used it in quite a while, and it is always kind of nice dig that out and use it. I don't know, you guys probably already know this, but the design on this one is kind of cool because you can select it. You can turn this little knurled knob here, and it turns it into a ratchet. So like if you're in some sort of limited space or whatever, but for normal use, you just put that back and then you just run it around. But always kind of cool to use some of the old tools, especially ones like this that, you know, were your grandpas or dads or great grandpas or whatever it is. Kind of just a cool use for these things. Patty says, it's my neighbor's mill, but we are lucky to have access to some interesting bits of timber. Yes, we are in a conservation area and allowed to till, okay, 3 to 5 mature trees, which is more than I'll ever use. Nice. I'm guessing that's fell, allowed to fell. 3 to 5 mature trees, which is more than I'll ever use. Yes, that is awesome that you have the access to that kind of material. That is I would love to use all materials that I milled myself. In fact, everything that has ever been on my channel where I have used Siberian elm, and I've used it for a lot of stuff over the last several years. Every single bit of Siberian elm that's ever been on my channel has been, this is all material that I milled myself with a chainsaw mill. I would love to have a bandsaw mill or even access to a bandsaw mill, but just using material that was a log, not that long ago, and you've milled it up and it's dried and you've been using it for projects that'll last for who knows how long. It's awesome. It's awesome. And in fact, that reminds me, I should keep my eye out for another log to mill up. I don't have anything right now, and especially while we're in winter, it's always kind of fun to do that in the winter time. I think because, well, at least with a chainsaw mill, it's hard work, and to be out there in the cold working hard, there's something about that I enjoy. I don't know. Call me weird, but I like a little hard work. But yeah, it's super cool to be able to use material that you've milled yourself. It's awesome. Sam says, now YouTube AI is behaving. Heritage says, getting warmer, mid to high 20s, and loving it. Bring on summer. 20s, so you're 20, so you're 70. Oh, you're 70 to 80. Yeah, mid to high. 80 degrees or so. Right on. I'm glad you're getting it, because I know you enjoy it. Heritage says, I have a ratcheting brace like that. I call it my midnight drill. Yeah, gotta keep the noise down. Yeah, I was thinking about different ways because I don't want to use an impact driver to put these brass screws in. So, and I kind of got tired of this number with a screwdriver. I'm like, oh yeah, I've got this brace, and my grandpa had this other chuck right in there. So this chuck is just, that's like made for this. It's got the square drive, but it fits in there, right? So you can lock that in just like you would if it was a regular square drive kind of auger bit, but it makes it into a 3-jaw chuck to where you can use like your normal screwdriver bits. This one, I've got this little extension thing because I need it to be longer to reach, down in here. But I'm like, yeah, something like that would work really good. So all I need to do is get the screw started. Then I can take this and if I don't crank this down super tight, when the screw gets tight enough, the chuck will slip a little bit and I don't break the screw off. It's been working really good. I still have 21 more screws to put in on this other one. Right here. So I've got these all started, and then I'll just come back in with the brace. Put those in. Here, let's just do one. Watch this be the one that I break. So run the screw right in. It gets tight, and right there it slips. And I know it's done. Whoa, what have I done? But yeah, it's been working out really good. Let's see. Sorry, I lost my spot there. Patty says, I got a storm damaged large oak off the downs back in September, and I'd like to use it to build a small bridge at home. Oh, that would be cool. Why are we all off center here? That would be awesome. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Yeah, you mill it up into like some big timbers to use as like the supports and stuff, and then you mill the rest into your like cross planks or whatever. That would be cool. Man, that would be a fun one. I want to build a bridge now. Taser says, got to run, but thanks for the conversation. Hope to be here for more of these in the future. Right on, Taser. Every Wednesday, 9 a.m. Right on. Hope you can make it back. Good chatting with you. Robert says, a friend of mine got a bunch of old 100-year-old oak from an old corral fence. Took it to a local tech school, had them mill it down, and his dad made a real nice entertainment center. That sounds cool. It does. Sam says you could upcycle furniture for people with much lower income. Yeah, there's a lot of projects out there for it. RMP Brown says, I've watched your video series on your acoustic build. I'm still a bit confused on how to determine the width of the sides and how they're calculated. Do the neck and heel blocks determine that? The width? Like the height? Width? I guess it's width. The height, which determines the height of the guitar. Yeah. So the very first guitar that I did, right, which is, I'm guessing maybe that's the series you're talking about, because I sort of have two series out there. One of them is like 18 parts going through building my very first acoustic. That one in particular, I used plans almost exclusively, because for that build, I didn't know what I was doing. I was learning the entire process. I was going through Eric Schaefer's guitar building course, which I highly recommend if you want to learn the whole process of building an acoustic guitar. It is a great in-depth course, and it helped me get mine completed. It would have been much more of a struggle without that. But, so that one, when I built that guitar, I didn't have a great understanding of pretty much anything yet. I was learning, right? So I specifically cut everything according to the plan. So if it said make it, whatever wide, then that's what I made it. When I built the second one, which I have a little bit of a shorter build series on that one, I start to have a little bit more understanding of how this works. Again, I still went off the plan for the second one, but if you are not following a plan, the width. I'm trying to think of how I want to word this, because I still do not consider myself an expert on that entire process. If you're working off a plan, I would cut it based off of the plan. But the neck and heel block, yes, determine how high the sides are going to be. But you don't want to cut it exactly to that, because you need to radius that. So I would highly recommend it goes higher than the neck and the heel block. A little bit. Again, this is where working off a plan is very helpful, because you can cut it based off of their dimensions. So I'm going to cut the neck and heel block based on what they say, and I'll cut the sides to what they say. However, there's a couple of things, man, I don't know. Honestly, I'm struggling to explain this. Let me hang on. Let me organize my thought. I'll come back to that. I guess the short answer is I cut it based on the plan, because that's exactly what I did. The second build, after the first build and you cut it to the plan, everything's big and square, you've got material to remove, because the side, the top, and the back are going to curve in, right? Which is going to reduce that thickness at the edges. So you don't need as much material there. But it's hard to determine where that's going to land on your piece of wood, especially on the early builds when you haven't done that many, you don't have a good feel for things. I'm rambling. That's a hard question. I like it. Determine the width of the sides and how they're calculated. Honestly, I would say build it according to the plan if you're building off a plan. Let me know if you're using a plan, and then we can go from there. And my apologies for kind of rambling on that. I don't know how to explain that very well. But we can work through it together. Robert says when he picked up the lumber, they asked him if any more, and maybe if he had any more. So maybe a little bit, was not planning on doing anything with it. They said good, did not want to go through any more. Oh, they didn't like it. Gotcha. Oh, he said they went through 10 sets of planer blades. Oh my, that's terrible. Sam says, hey dude, wear airport grade ear protection. It won't make any noise. Not that you'd hear anyway. Others may hear something though. Yeah, you got ear protection. I didn't hear any noise. What are you talking about? Heritage says, I have a partner that wakes up if a sparrow farts 10 Ks away. Noise is an issue. Fair enough. Patty says, Jeff, gotta go. Nice to catch up. Have a great holiday break. Patty, you too. Take care. Glad you could tune in. Great to chat with you for a bit. That's awesome. Have a great week. Sam, LOL. Sam says, Patty, be safe. Patty, cheers, Sam. Bam. Sam, thumbs up. Sam says, beanie time soon. It is beanie time already. Sam, it's just warm enough in here right now that I can leave it off, and it's kind of nice. But don't worry, it's not far away. Yep. So RMP Brown, I'm going back to your question. I guess the complete straight up answer is I did not calculate the width of mine either. Like I said, I went off the plan. I only have 2 acoustics under my belt. I need to get another one going. I've got some materials on hand now that I need to probably start in on. But I did not calculate that. The only thing I did for the second build was I took some measurements from the first one so that I had some references and I could make a little bit more of an exact template so that I could cut some of that excess material away. Because like I said, when you radius the top and the back, you lose a little bit of thickness on your sides in the area of the lower bout, upper bout, because it arcs this way in the upper bout. So you remove a little bit of that, then you don't have to remove as much later on. Because once you have it together, of course, you're going to radius it you're going to drive the bus, all right? That's what they call it. Radius the whole thing, the whole outer rim gets a radius put on it. So you're going to level all that to your neck and your heel block. You definitely don't want your thickness to be, you can't just go off of the neck and the heel block. And what I mean by that is, I'm just going to use round measurements. Let's say your heel block is 3 inches and your neck block is, I'm going to exaggerate and say 2 inches, right? That's pretty small, but let's just use that for an example. You couldn't just say, okay, one end of the side needs to be 3 inches and the other end needs to be 2 inches, and you just you could taper that in. That would not work because of the way the top is radiused in. So you're going to have roughly the same dimension starting at the heel block partway around, right, until you get more into that upper bout where the body, it's a complex shape and it's really hard to calculate because it's tapering in thickness between the neck and the heel block, but it's also tapering this way, right, because of the radius on both the top and the back. So it's really kind of complex, and I don't have a good method to calculate that. But you want to be wider than the tail block, the heel block, for at least the lower bout, the same thickness before it starts to taper down, or just keep it the same. And yeah, I'm sorry I don't have a like some sort of scientific or some fancy explanation. I just don't know how to explain it because I don't have that calculation either. Hope that makes sense. Sam says, in unskippable ads. Robert says, when the ads pop up for others on the stream, do they fill the full screen, or are you getting to a split screen like mine are doing? Stream audio cut out, replaced by ad. Yeah, like I said, I've seen that once. Of course, not on the stream because I'm not watching the stream, but yeah, I don't know. I've seen it before. And we talked about it a week or two ago. I like it better, but still not perfect. Sam says, I don't mind the single relevant ads, but the extremely long, unskippable ones are blatantly put in to force people to buy a subscription, not to see ads. Yeah, that's the problem. RMP Brown says, thank you for the guitar plan suggestion. Oh, right on. Yeah, and that's my best explanation for that. Like I said, I don't have a formula. I don't have a method. I've only completed 2. I am not an acoustic expert. I would not consider myself that. But I have completed 2, and they both sound awesome. But yeah, that would be my suggestion. Follow the plan, at least for now, right? Until you build that, I don't know, build that skill. Yeah, that's what and for my next one, my third one, I too will follow the plan. Paul's back. He says, I just finished right at the end. Have a great week, everyone. Right on, Paul. Right on, right on. I'm glad you made it back. Hope that printer is fixed up. I was talking about earlier, I think you were still gone, but I'm working on doing some home network improvements as well, even though I'm not quite an expert on that. But yeah, just we talked about ad blocker and stuff last week. I think you mentioned I have that running now. Just got a UPS in yesterday. I got to get that installed to keep everything up and running, media servers and all that. But yeah, it's kind of, everything's sort of coming together here for our little home network thing. Home lab, I guess, as some call it. But yeah, I'm going to go do that here when we're done. Shut everything down, plug in that UPS. Takes a few minutes for everything to come back up. And then I'm going to finish up these bridal racks here for my daughter, which is her Christmas present. And yeah, so you guys still have time. We still have time. If you've been putting off Christmas presents, you got to make some Christmas presents for some people. You got time still, but you don't have a lot of time. What, 15 days? So if you've been putting off something, now's the time to get after it. Yeah, so yeah, it's hard to believe school's gonna be back on break, not this week, after next week. Then we'll be on break again. Crazy. It's almost the end of the year. I can't even imagine it. But let's see. Robert says, could you just start out with everything square on the sides and tail and head blocks and just sand in what is needed? Absolutely. And that's what I mean by if you're following a plan. My plan makes the side square, right? It doesn't taper. It doesn't do anything before you bend it. It starts out with the side square, and yeah, and then you remove the material from there. And that's exactly what the plan says. You want to leave enough material that you're a little taller than the tail block. Otherwise, you're going to potentially run into issue once you start radiusing everything. It's more work to get everything leveled out, but it's safer to start out with it taller. A little bit. But anyway, yeah, I think we're going to wrap this up. We got to get to work. I got to finish up this video, this video, and then I got to get it edited for this weekend. It's half edited, but the project's not even done. I was editing in between finish drying and 3D printers running. So, yeah. You guys, thank you so much. We're going to wrap this up. We're going to put the stamp on this one, or check mark, or gavel. I don't know what you... Anyway, we're going to wrap this one up for today and let you guys get back to work. We all got projects and things to get done, I hope. And thank you all for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't hit it yet. Hit it right now. Or as they say, smash the like button. And thank you all for tuning in for the great conversation and camaraderie. I like that word. Sam says, thanks for the fantastic stream today. You are welcome, Sam, and thank you for being a part of the fantastic stream. Harry Dude says, cheers, folks. Hopefully I can get here earlier next week. Harry Dude, I know the time change and the working off site. It's all good. It's all good. But I'm glad you made it. So have a great week, Harry Dude. And enjoy your summer-like weather. Sam says, be safe, everyone. Right on, all of you. Thanks again. We're going to get out of here. You guys stay safe, stay well. Thanks for another awesome Wednesday live. We'll do it again next Wednesday, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. So, you guys, stay safe, stay well, get on your shops, build some cool stuff, have some fun on all the good things. Take care, everyone. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. We're out of here. I need a gavel. We're out. Later.